the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm finally recapping episode 6 of P-Valley. This episode was called Legacy. I think that was a great title because that is what almost everyone was exploring this episode, between Corbin and his brothers and us finding out how Uncle Clifford came to own the pink, Mercedes' struggle with her daughter. There was a lot of discussion around what do I have now, what will I have to leave behind, what wasn't left for me. So I think that was a great title episode. My heart really hurts for Mercedes because it seems like Mercedes has really been doing everything that she can to try to prove that she can be a good mom to Terica. It seems like she's been doing everything that she could to try to get custody of her, and for whatever reason she could never quite get herself together. Even the fact that she, it took her years to put together this really sweet bedroom for her, buying a piece here and a piece there. And I think this also kind of maybe informs why Mercedes only had $20,000 saved. Maybe she was paying lawyer fees, or maybe she was spending money trying to get custody of her daughter. But then we learned from Shell that, she let Terica down a lot, didn't show up for visits. And, even when she did give her access to her, Mercedes didn't quite show up. And one of the things that, if you're lucky, you get to come to a place where you see your parents as human and not just your parents, and you can give them a bit of grace for the areas in which they may have failed you or not have shown up for you in the ways that we want our parents to always show up for us. But that takes growth and maturity, and Terica is like 16, so she ain't trying to hear that. All she knows is you gave me up and you don't show up for me. And you can understand, why she's heartbroken. But my question is Shell trying to protect Terica from Mercedes and the constant disappointments that she's put her through, or is she trying to punish her husband for this infidelity? Because the way she was talking about that man, shit obviously was not great between them, because clearly he had this love child, and she didn't seem too broken up about him no longer being alive. So I'm just a little bit curious about that. But I do like that Autumn and Mercedes can bond over the fact that they have both lost children, even though it's been in two completely different ways. They are also giving looks and wigs as they continue their Thelma and Louise skank fraud, money wiring. I told y'all I'm not well versed in the world of fraud, so I don't fully understand what the end game is here, but they doing it, and they're doing it giving many looks and many questionable wigs, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. So Mississippi comes up with, first of all, can I just say, what a beautiful girl Mississippi is. Like, oh my God. One of the many things that I really enjoy about this show is that the black women on it remind me so much of black women who I grew up with. It's this very approachable, realistic kind of beauty. It's not fantastical. It doesn't look like it's the result of surgeries and fillers. And it's no shade to the people who have achieved that certain aesthetic, but it does mean a lot to me that these are just regular, everyday, pretty women who I can see myself in. Not to say I think whatever. Anyway, my cousins, my friends, like girls who I grew up with in the neighborhood, who we all thought were pretty, but it wasn't in this fantastical, unachievable way. And I just think Mississippi is so indicative of that. Sure, she still has wigs, weave, makeup, but it's still this very approachable, around the way kind of beauty, and not girl next door. I don't really like the concept of that something about that don't sit right with me. She just reminds me of pretty girls who I grew up with. So Mississippi comes up with this scheme that would solve Lil Murda's issue of staying closeted in his relationship with Uncle Clifford. Mississippi says, you know, they can have like a social media relationship, and that's not uncommon. How many strippers has Drake shouted out, you know, who went on to become really famous? I mean, look at Black China. Don't look at her right now. I'm sorry. Look at her some years ago before she went to wherever it is that she is now. That's another conversation for another day. Girl, what happened? Anyway, I think that Mississippi is really trying to do whatever she can to ride this wave of, you know, newfound stardom from Standing and from Mercedes. But I'm deeply concerned about what this means for her relationship with this abusive baby daddy. Is this gonna get her killed? Is this gonna get Lil Murda killed? Is somebody else gonna get killed in the crossfire? Is he gonna get killed? Like, what's gonna be the end result of this? Because the girls at the club were like, this was not a smart move. Like, you have an abusive baby daddy. We can literally see bruises on your face, and you're out here pretending that you're dating a whole other guy. What's gonna happen? Because I'm still curious, you know, whose funeral were they going to in that one scene? I got questions. So, and you know, Mississippi even covers for him in the studio where they're like, you know, where were you? You have one hit. You can't live off of this one hit, but for so long you need to come out with something else. And, you know, we know that he was having family date night with Uncle Clifford, and completely missed his studio time. And as much as I am enjoying that they found a loophole, that they found a way to connect with each other outside of the club, Lil Murda still needs to focus on this career if it's something that he's serious about. Like, can we have maybe just like scheduled this for another time, perhaps? Speaking of this family date night, one thing about Loretta Devine, Auntie gonna work. Auntie be working. I love Loretta Devine. I did not know that one of the things I needed to see in my life was Loretta Devine be an old hoe. I loved it. Maybe I have a thing for old hoes because one of my favorite movies, my favorite movie is Harlem Nights, and I really want them to remake it so that I can play Della Reese's character, Vera Walker. I love her. Oh ho. I love the blackness of Uncle Clifford being woken up in the morning by her grandmother's playing this Curtis Mayfield really loudly. We can all relate. If you are black, you on the weekends, you know it's time to get up when your mama them start playing old music really loudly. It's one of our things, one of the things that I actually really love. I also love how accepting Uncle Clifford's grandmother is of her and of her identity. I think that I would like to see so much more of that in our community. And I'm just so happy that she has that secure base in her. We also learned that the reason that the pink is in arrears is because Uncle Clifford inherited the pink from her grandmother, but right along with that, she inherited the debt. And too many of us can attest to that. You know, more well-to-do families, they inherit money, they inherit, you know, property that can be used as collateral. However, unfortunately for those of us who are in more marginalized communities, we've been so disenfranchised in this country for so long, we end up inheriting debt. And it's hard, it's expensive to be poor. Once you inherit something that's already not on the up and up in terms of the credit, it's kind of hard to dig yourself out of that hole, and here we are. As an aside, I'm kind of sad to see Big L connecting with Gidget's kind of sort of boo. It looks like he's getting back into some illegal activities, which we know he really wanted Uncle Clifford to save the pink because he has priors, and doesn't really have a whole lot of other opportunities. And I don't know if he's doing this as a full career change or if he's doing this in order to save the pink, because he did say, you know, Uncle Clifford has saved me. Now it's my turn to save her. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm really nervous about that. And that's also one of the things that sucks about the prison system. You know, even if people go in and reform and want to come out and do better, there just still aren't enough opportunities for rehabilitated felons. It sucks, and they just end up going back to what they were doing before because they don't have any other options. So yet another example of ways in which we need to just break all this shit down and start all the way over. So the nail shop scene, can I just tell y'all, I love how well written and how relatable and how real this show is. I love that Uncle Clifford can speak the language of her nail techs. I love that Uncle Clifford is critical of the coffin nail shape. I too, that's why I go almond, because they always taper too much at the tip. And I love that she said, like, that makes my fingers look too fat or makes my hands look too big or something like that, because same sis, I felt seen. Eloise, the mayor's assistant, comes in, and turns out she used to work at the Pink. She was a stripper who got promoted to house mother, and then she rolled right on out to the mayor's office. And Uncle Clifford is now going to use her as kind of a mole to get some information, and she goes along with it just out of loyalty, not only to Uncle Clifford, not only to the Pink, but to the community, because she learns that everything is not on the up and up with what they have planned for the community, which that's not surprising to us. Like, we knew that, but now Uncle Clifford is coming to know it too. So this scene with Corbin and his brothers, you cannot trust these white people. When their brother pulled out that gun, I said, no, wait a minute, bitch. I feel for Corbin. I feel like Corbin is still trying to prove himself to a dead man in the way of his father. This man sounds like he was not a great man. The brothers don't really want to have much to do with him or with his legacy or the lack thereof. You know, Corbin is like, we shouldn't let this go. We need to hold on to this and have something to pass down in the family. They're like this. They're a bit ambivalent about him even being family. And my heart just really hurt for him. He wants to do right by a man who really didn't honor him very much. So that, yeah, I found that incredibly sad. But then Andre swindles the investor into choosing a leasing option, and it looks like that's not on the up and up. And so Andre's wife, who we meet for the first time, is like, do you think you should have done that? And that's a fair question, because this life of crime and corruption is obviously a slippery slope. You know, his Andre's godfather, the mayor, be on some bullshit, so now you gonna go be on some bullshit too. So that was disappointing, and he really wasn't trying to hear it from his wife and just kind of shut her out, which was really upsetting, because you out here tricking off, and you know, you mad at her for asking valid questions. Andre is a fuck boy. So Eloise reveals to Uncle Clifford that there is a loophole in the charter of Chucalissa that says that if a casino is to be built, they can put it to a vote. And, you know, Uncle Clifford is like, niggas don't vote. And Eloise is like, yeah, and white people vote for the wrong people. So, you know, but use what power you do have over your community here. So this leads her to go and bail out Mercedes' mom using the Pink as collateral. First of all, I didn't know that you could even put something up as collateral that you are behind in payments on. I don't know how that stuff works. Knock on wood, praise God. I don't know what her end game is here. Are they gonna use the church somehow? Is Uncle Clifford gonna use... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe use Mercedes' mom's position as a pastor to influence people to vote against the casino, you know, and maybe that can be more votes in their favor. I'm not too sure about what the end game is there, but I'm pretty sure Mercedes is not going to be happy about her Uncle Clifford partnering with her mom, which we know, you know, she's dead to her. So we'll see what happens with that. The other thing is Autumn makes this very cryptic call to Andre to like say goodbye. Girl, where you going? Did you catch wind that your ex-husband is here and he coming looking for you, so you running from him? Or was this always your plan? Was it always your plan to get in and get out? Are you gonna say goodbye to Mercedes? Like, what's the tea, girl? And then also, because she let Mississippi know about where that gun is and how she could get it in that locker, also, that's another thing, push pin in that. Is Mississippi gonna use that gun on the baby daddy? All this remains to be seen. But yeah, where is Autumn going? Was this always her intention? What is the tea? We're not getting the next episode for another week, I believe. So we'll see what happens. This episode gave us a lot as per usual. So drop down the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. What are your predictions for the next one? What surprised you? Somebody said that they think that Lil Murda is gonna end up actually really liking Mississippi and kind of playing Mississippi and Uncle Clifford. I don't think so. I think that Lil Murda has genuine and sincere love and interest and desire for Uncle Clifford, and that actually makes me really happy because she deserves. So you guys be sure to share and subscribe and like. And if you would like to, use the link in this episode description to become a patron on my Patreon, which is a platform that provides resources and support for independent creatives like myself, so that we can continue creating without being poor and or homeless. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.